How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to my channel. I'm Toriosaurus. I promised vlogs, and here's my first one. So I've officially been in Scotland for a week, and I'm very excited about it. So far, so good. I've only been to each of my classes once, so I'm sure as these vlogs go on, I will be probably a bit more tired and probably maybe not as enthusiastic, but we'll see. Um, Yeah, I don't even know where to start. Also, I'm sorry for the glare. There's a lamp right here that I'm using for better, more even lighting, but it's also casting this weird glare on my glasses, so I apologize for that. Um, yeah, so I'm at St. Andrews in St. Andrews, Scotland. Um, I'm in Andrew Melville Hall, which is the furthest away from everything except the science buildings, which is why I picked it, not realizing exactly how far it is away from everything. I have a map somewhere. I will throw one up to show you how far I am away from everything. It doesn't look far on a map, but I am 15 to 20 minutes walk away from everything. I'm taking 2 biology courses, but neither of them are in the science buildings that I thought they would be in. So getting to class is a fun time. Honestly, it's not that bad. It's, kind of good to be getting some exercise, I guess. It's a really great little town. I love it a lot. I've never lived anything but suburban life. I spent about a month with a relative of mine who lives on 45 acres with horses and dogs. And so I've lived suburban and rural. I'm used to that. I'm not used to living in a city, and this isn't even a big one. And I recognize that because I've gone into Richmond for various things, and that's uh that's bigger than this is, but this is still really bustling. And it's been a really great experience so far though. Some of the things that are different that I find a little fascinating is the currency, which sounds kind of stupid, like duh, they use pounds. But I just mean in general, in small ways, it's kind of interesting how it's different because if you look at like bills, this is a regular 10-pound bill, and I got this from the bank when I ordered currency um, to bring because that was a smart thing to do. Uh, but when I got change the other day, I got this though, and I guess it's a Scottish 5-pound bill. I wish I had some of the fives that I got when I got them from the bank, but I don't. But that's not what the ones I got looked like. Every bill I've gotten from the bank has a youngish picture of Queen Elizabeth on it. And so that's something that you like, every state doesn't have their own $1 bill in America. And speaking of ones, the 1 pound currency is coins. This is a 1 pound coin. It's quite thick. And I think like coins are easy to lose. Why would anybody think that that's a good idea? I mean, they obviously do, and I haven't lost any, so far it's been fine, but I don't even know. It's pretty cool though. They also have 2 pound coins. I just got this in change today. This is a 2 pound coin. I feel like I could pop the middle out. The last thing I'll talk about with the currency, because I really truly don't understand it. Other than, I've looked up the exchange rate and stuff like that, but as far as any history to it, I have no idea. One thing that's interesting, because Queen Elizabeth has been the monarch for so long, there are older coins with younger engravings of her. So this is an older coin, and she's quite young, but they've aged her throughout the years appropriately and flatteringly, um, because she's been queen for so long. These two I find particularly cool because They are from, I believe, the same year, but she's wearing different crowns in them. And this one, she has a larger drop earring and she's smiling in it. She's more serious looking in this one. Which, that's so cool. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. I just think it's really cool. You can see the same thing on these little 5 pence pieces. This is a old and a young Elizabeth II. These new coins are very shiny. And I don't know why, like, when you get change in America, it's pretty easy to get coins from, I would say, the 70s and later. It's very common. And it's pretty rare to get coins from the current year, but it's completely opposite here. And I think it's because the coins are used so much here, they just get worn down and almost, I don't want to say unrecognizable, but they get very worn down because this is a pound from 2014 and it's got some wear and tear on it. This is from 1985 and it is incredibly worn down. So that's the only reason I can think of that they're trying to keep up with putting out new coins and stuff like that. Anyways, other things. So I don't know if any of you keep up or have interest in British food and stuff like that, but if any of you watch Doctor Who, one thing that gets mentioned occasionally are these, and they are some of the most delicious cookies ever. I forgot how I tried one. I did get to try one once before I came here, a couple years ago. I don't remember how I got a hold of one, but I did, and I loved it. And so I'm very addicted to these. They're very good, and they don't come in packs big enough. But Jamie Dodgers are so great. A friend of mine, well, my roommate came with me to St. Andrews and she was asking me what they were filled with. And I was like, I don't know. So I checked the packaging and it's raspberry flavored apple jam. And I just thought that was like, why couldn't you just get raspberry jam? I don't know. Maybe it has something to do with, maybe apples last longer. I don't know. Or they're more abundant, probably is what it is. But it's weird the brands you'll see because like I can't go to Walmart or to Target to get my necessities or whatever. I have to go to Tesco and there's a place that if I recall correctly, it's called Sainsbury. There's also Aldi and Morrison's. Those are both large stores. Morrison's, the best way to describe it would be like a Martin's or a Kroger, because it's a very large supermarket, but it doesn't have clothes or anything like that. That's really far away from where I live. Like any good student in the UK, I have tea. I have had PG tips before, so that's not new. For me, at least. Oh, yeah, here's the Tesco brand. I just picked this up today because I have some dishes, but it's been a really cool experience so far. I have 4 classes, which equals 70, well, 4 classes doesn't equal 70 credits, but my 4 classes equal 70 credits, which at my home school is about 17 and a half credits. I don't know why they weight them so differently here, but they have an interesting system. They have 10 credit, 15 credit, and 20 credit, and 30 credit classes. And I guess it indicates how many hours you're supposed to be putting in outside of class. So 20 credit classes for the entire semester, you should put in 200 hours of work. And that includes contact time in class and things of that sort. So I'm taking Scotland and the English Empire from 1070 until 1500, which is a very cool class so far. I've actually been there twice now, and to one tutorial, which I'm still not clear on what the point of those are, other than it's an opportunity to have smaller group discussions because they keep telling me this is a small school. I'm not convinced. My school is small. There's like 500 people in my school. This school is 10,000, which I was not aware of before I came. Not like it's a problem, but it's definitely a change. My history class, if I had to guess, is probably 200 people in a lecture hall. My professor, lecturer, I don't know what to call him. I believe professor. There's a thing on titles here. You have to be careful not to call a doctor professor because they earned the title doctor. But my lecturer for that class for the first 3 weeks was on BBC and did a thing on medieval England, has like several episodes, and like that's really cool. I'm also taking Scottish music, which I am pretty excited about. Um, I am taking 2 biology courses. One is breeding systems and sexual conflict, which I wanted to take because I finished animal behavior last semester, and that's an animal behavior topic that I found interesting. So I thought, why not? Just continue it. And I'm also taking the question of culture in cetaceans because I have taken marine biology before and I want to be a vet. So classes with animals are just generally interesting to me, I guess. Um, but yeah, so far I'm looking forward to all of it. And, I hope I don't get too bogged down with schoolwork, but we'll see. I've got to say, everyone here is just so nice because when I left home, got up at like 8 a.m., got ready. We left the house at around 10 and drove to Dulles Airport, International Airport. Um, and we ate lunch there because none of us could decide on where to go on the way, so we just ate lunch there. And after that, my roommate and I were on the plane and we were gone. Uh, it was a 6 or so hour flight to Heathrow. Heathrow was very stressful because going through customs was really the stressful part. Getting on the train, if we had missed the train to our terminal, that just wait for the next one. But getting grilled at customs was just very stressful because we got split. We couldn't go to the same customs person, and the lady that was talking to me was probably a nice person, but doing her job, she was very curt, and it felt like an interrogation, but I'm sure real interrogations are much worse. But she was asking me, why are you going to be in the country? Do you have proof? I had to pull up an email, and I was like, does this count? She's like, you don't have a letter from your school? I was like, no, I'm sorry. I got stamped anyways. I'm here. It was fine. But that was not a fun time. And we got on our connecting flight. That only took an hour from London to Edinburgh. And after we got off that flight, which I slept on neither of them, after the second flight, we got off and we were told before we left, oh, there's a shuttle, it's very cheap, it'll take you to the school, just get on that. There were 2 shuttles, 2 men representing 2 shuttle companies when we got off the flight. And we talked to both of them and they were like, did you register? No, no, we didn't. And they sent us over to a student, and he's like, maybe you're with them, maybe you're supposed to be with them. And I was like, I doubt it, but we'll see. Went over and talked to this kid. I say kid, he was my age, who was sitting on the wall, and he was telling us he was from, I think, Colgate, and there was a group who flew together from Colgate. And I was like, okay, well, we're definitely not with you guys. So thanks anyways. And I went back and I told the guy that was with one of the shuttle companies, I was like, okay, I think the problem was no one told us we had to register online for a seat. Luckily, one girl missed, I mean, not for her, but one girl missed her connecting flight to Edinburgh. And we luckily managed to get on. And that was worse than customs because we thought we weren't going to get on campus in time. And from Edinburgh Airport, it took about an hour to get to St. Andrews. We each had 2 regular-sized suitcases, and we each had a carry-on, but mine was like a tiny suitcase, and my roommate's was a book bag. So we had to figure out how to coordinate all these bags, and it was a mess. We didn't go to bed until 7 that night after we walked around town for the first time, trying to buy just a couple of essentials that we needed, and we walked, I think, 6 miles. Yeah, that's about the average that we walked the first couple of days we were here. It was about 6 miles, and we were exhausted. I went to bed at 8 p.m. Because I had been up for 30 hours, I figured out, which was pretty terrible. I went to bed at 8. Oh, excuse me, I left out the last stressful part of the day. We missed dinner in our building because we were walking around and didn't realize that dinner for that night in particular wasn't the same time as it was normally going to be. So we missed it by like 45 minutes. And we didn't have a phone that worked in the country, and the phone that was by the front desk wouldn't call off campus, and we were freaking out because we were starving. Luckily, they don't have RAs, they have wardens and sub-wardens, which I think is hilarious because it's kind of like we live in a jail. I live in C block of my building. I literally kind of live in a jail, although it's much nicer. Luckily, one of the sub-wardens walked by, saw we were in distress, and offered to let us use her phone, which we definitely accepted. And we were trying to find out somewhere to order. I saw a pamphlet on the table for a Chinese restaurant. And I was like, okay, yes, that food will be recognizable. We order Chinese in the States all the time. This will be fine. This is fine. Well, we called, and there was a language barrier, but it wasn't because the man on the phone didn't speak English. It was because he just wouldn't listen to what we were saying. We were trying to tell him that we wanted him to come to the back of the building, the delivery driver, and we would meet outside. We just tell us a time because there was no number he could call back on. And it was just such a fight. And that was already after him misunderstanding everything I ordered, because I was like, I need 2 of this. He's like, 1? I was like, no, 2. He's like, do you want rice? Does it come with rice? No. Well, how much is rice? $1.50. Okay, fine. 2 rice. 3 rice? No, 2 rice. It was the worst experience I've ever had ordering anything. And it sucked because the food was delicious, but the guy on the phone was just not the best person to deal with on the phone. I will put it that way. So we got the food finally after we made the guy understand what we wanted to do. And it didn't come with utensils. So we both were exhausted, had been up for 30 hours, and just eating food out of cartons with our hands like we were little homeless people. And it was very pitiful. But the food was delicious, and I dealt with it. It was fine. Went to bed at 8 and woke up to this very loud knocking at my door. I was so delirious and sleep deprived that I didn't realize it was my door at first. It took me a couple minutes, and I opened the door, and it was the same sub-warden who allowed me to borrow her phone, and she was saying that my mom had called Sweetbriar, where I go, a bit frantic because she hadn't heard from me. at every airport I thought texting or using Viber, but evidently I never connected to the Wi-Fi, and none of my messages sent to either of my parents. So they hadn't heard from me in like 30 hours because none of my messages sent, and it was very complicated trying to connect to the Wi-Fi on campus. I was just going to wait until the next day to ask somebody. So, um, the subwarden showed me how to connect my laptop to the Wi-Fi, and I sent a message on Facebook and said, "I'm fine, I'm here, I'm exhausted, I will talk to you tomorrow." And that got sorted. So it was a very crazy first day, but after I slept, got up, went to breakfast, which that was interesting because of the different food. It's not like food is bizarrely different here. It's recognizable but prepared really differently. So, breakfast is much heartier here than it normally is um, in the States, or at least ever was for me. There was link sausage that doesn't taste anything like any link sausage I've ever had, but it's good. I like it. There was blood pudding, which I have not tried yet. It's very intimidating looking, but I think I'm gonna try it tomorrow. Um, like two other kinds of sausages, eggs, porridge, which is oatmeal essentially, and I think that was it for the first day. But it was, oh, and beans. They have baked beans all the time, and definitely with breakfast. And it's good. It's really good. So for days 2 and 3, essentially we got up, ate, and then went into town trying to find our way around, navigating. There were also orientation things to do. We went, um, we got a tour of the campus by a student, and there were some introductory presentations that we went to and saw. There was a Oh, there was matriculation, duh. So we also signed up for classes, which that was a really weird. How they set up matriculation is odd and probably too difficult to describe, but essentially there are just a bunch of stations you had to go through, and the person who helped you sign up for your classes is not your permanent advisor. So that was a bit weird, but it got sorted and I got into the classes I wanted, luckily. Um, the breeding systems class that I wanted to take was full, but they let me in, thankfully. And yeah, after that, the day before classes started yesterday. Yesterday was Monday the 25th. Burns Robert Burns Day, I guess. It was definitely Burns night because I saw a bunch of advertisements for it, and that was when I tried haggis for the first time, but I will get back to that. But Sunday before classes started, we ran around trying to figure out our class routes and which specific buildings our classes were in. Um, but yeah, so Robert Burns is incredibly, incredibly important and big here. I had heard his name, like vaguely knew who he was before I came, but definitely like a highly praised person to this day. Um, Last night was Burns night, and so the traditional Burns night dinner is haggis, neeps, and tatties, which is haggis. And if you don't know what haggis is, it's like ground lamb, and I think there's oats in it and some other things. You can Google it. Um, Neeps, I believe, is turnips, and tatties, I believe, is potatoes. I might have those backwards, but that is the traditional Burns night dinner. And I had the haggis and I had the potatoes, but I had broccoli. I didn't have turnips. But it was good. I don't know why everyone kind of wigs out. I guess because traditionally haggis is served in a sheep stomach. That kind of wigs some people out. But I think what most people don't realize is that's not what you're eating. You're eating lamb, which is delicious. So I enjoyed it. Oh, and the other day for lunch, they had, what did they call it? Gammon shank. It was the most incredible hunk of, I think, ham I have ever seen. I will put a picture. It was so filling and delicious. Oh my goodness. Yeah, so far I haven't had like a bad food experience. Like some weird food that I wasn't crazy about. Um, but mostly it's been like condiments that have been kind of weird and that I wasn't a fan of so much. So far so good. I guess I'd make my ancestors proud. I will try and put a tour of my room at the end of this. My webcam is attached. I don't know. Maybe I can go far enough. We'll figure it out. I want to show my room though. And other than like summarizing specifically what's happened day to day, I think that's about it. Any friends, family, or even strangers watching this, if you have questions, you can put them in the comments. I will probably respond pretty promptly. Or you can just ask me if you're friends with me, you know how to get in contact with me. So yeah, this is entry 1 of hopefully a once a week installment series of vlogs that I'll be doing while I'm here. I'm very excited about it. And yeah, thanks for watching. I hope to see you in the next video. Bye! Okay, so here's the room tour I promised, starting at the entrance of my room. This is my desk. Ignore the mess. Just after filming is when I did this. So yeah, that's my heater. It doesn't work very well, but there's my curtains that are 90s retro, and the suitcase that didn't fit under my bed, unfortunately, so it's got my laundry bag in it. That's all the adapters I had to get, and various things plugged into them. My side table and book bag between my bed. The comforter and bed stuff I had to order through this place called Unikit. Also, like a prison cell, I have a sink in my room, but it's nice because I don't have to fight to brush my teeth in the morning. This is my closet. Starting from top to bottom, pretty much just clothes. I've got washer pods in the top and shoes in the bottom. Nothing special. Those boots were a great investment though, the LL Bean ones with the fur top. These shelves are above my bed. I haven't really figured out what I want to put there. Just food and toiletry stuff right now. Thanks for watching though. I'll see you guys later. Bye!